Spoiler alert. And this is my Redcat Ascent Apex. A few reasons I picked this up, mostly out of the box. They're supposed to be pretty awesome, and it is probably the first car that I've bought that doesn't immediately need some improvements, like with an SCX-24. Given that most actual SCX-24s are 150 average to start. I look at SCX-24s as basically buying a shopping cart. Anyway, I thought I'd give this a try. Oops, $250. I'm sure you've watched other videos describing the features of this, but it's my first brushless setup, which I'm pretty stoked with. But I'm not here to sell you an Ascent 18 Apex. The purpose of this video is I don't care for the appearance. Let's see, I don't care for the appearance, and I don't care for the way the bed mounts. Semi-permanent if you change a bunch of bracketry and stuff. And then I see one fella, and I'll add a link to his video, that used magnets to hold the body on. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add magnets on the bed and the cab to hold this up against it. I drilled the two holes to match the pins, but I want this easily removable, which is why the magnet thing sounded pretty cool. But you need something to hold it back in. Looking at supplied hardware, you're supposed to change all this bracketry, and it uses a spring-loaded affair that's attached underneath the bed that hooks into it, but it semi-permanently joins the bed and the cab, which I didn't want. I wanted to be able to remove this easily, like when I'm outside thrashing. So I wanted to utilize this, but I did want to change all this bracketry. So it comes with there's these two little brackets. You replace the back bumper assembly with these two things, which then the bed will slide into this. My thought is, with the magnets on the body, the bed mechanism inserted into these will keep it from lifting, and the magnets should keep it from pulling out. That's the plan. If I had to, I could put a pin to keep it from sliding back, but I think the magnets will probably do it. Pulling this guy off the bed. All right, back up. When I assembled this, the bed set, not really doing it, but it set really low in the back, but it ended up the front high. And with this in the bracket, it just cocked it. So I decided I needed to make a spacer between the clip and the bed. I just used a piece of masonite, 1/8 inch thick, to space that. When you go to pull this out, or you attempt to pull this thing off, put a little super glue, get my fingers in the way here, on either side to hold this thing together. It's two halves, these pins, and the trigger spring loaded. Yeah, I spent 20 minutes trying to get this thing back together. Put a little spot of glue to hold this thing together and drop it so I can get my spacer in there, which with the additional thickness I had to change the screws. They're 8mm long, and I'm not sure what the stock ones were, 6. Anyway, just to go through all this to hold this in place. But I think pulling this apart so I get the spacer in between here and this thing falling apart is what motivated me to make this video. Just a heads up, and maybe some of you folks are more clever than me and can put it back together. But so let's go on there. The magnets will hold this on. This being pinned, can't lift. And I'm gonna get some. I have some pinstriping tape, but I'm gonna pinstripe the side of the body just to break up all this blackness. I mean, the first thing I did was pull off all the stock decals. The quasi roll bar thing on the windshield tent. I don't quite understand it. I would really like to put lights on it, but being that this is so open, I'm not sure. At least get some rock lights on it. Down the road, I likely change the body. I'll either get a Toyota FJ or possibly a bug body, but that, like I say, that's down the road. I've driven this on my course, and this sucker is wide, and like the bridges on my course where there's 2 poles at either end that are supporting the ropes. This thing will not go through it. I have to climb up on top of the poles to get through. There's a little mine on the course. I drove in. I couldn't get out. It gets narrow at one end, and I ended up having to climb up on the wall and go through sideways to get out. Kind of funny. So the only thing planned for this at the moment, other than the body down the road, as I mentioned, is changing the wheels to narrow it a little bit. Anyway, yeah, order some wheels to narrow this up a little bit so I can drive it on my course. But like I say, mostly this is going to be for outside, go to the beach. They got some gnarly rocks to climb, which is why I want to take this bed off. But normally the bed's going to be on there. It'd be nice to come up with some kind of bumper in the back. Just a piece of round something or other to help this slide off. Things you can do. Not much here. I might take a video of this thing on the course, but $250 sounds like a lot, but I have a lot more than that into most of my SCX 24s. Kind of cool. I did notice though the front shocks, I don't know if they're different shocks, but there's almost a quarter of an inch more travel in the back ones. And it is one of the things I've noticed is how much the back flops around on loads. So I'll probably open these up and use, like, I have some silicone tubing or even a piece of shrink wrap to keep these from opening up quite so far. I don't know if I haven't had them apart. The front shocks are a lot more resistant. It does look like the springs are different in the back, lighter. Not sure why, because it helps. It just too easily flops around. So I may put some heavier oil, put a spacer inside to keep them from opening up quite so much. Hopefully getting the narrow reels helps with the turning. I mean, the turning radius of the front is just crazy, but the truck doesn't want to turn because it's so wide. So I'm hoping that narrowing this track width helps it turn. Enjoy. Glued magnets on the bed, one on the inside of the cab. Make a little spacer to lower this. Quick release cab.